here, right now.
Hi, it's Greg Williamson from 180 Degrees Mortgage Professionals Academy, where we teach mortgage professionals how to make that transition from a servant relationship with their referral sources and customers to a leader relationship with their referral sources and customers, so that they can build businesses that serve their lives as opposed to their lives serving their businesses. In today's quick tip, I wanted to cover off, somebody was talking to me within our community about objections in the sales process. And one of the common ones, I think, particularly with, say, realtors or other referral sources, is the realtor who, after you've nailed the pitch, you've spent all this time doing your presentation, and they say something like, I want to think about it. Or a customer is probably more likely to do that, but in a realtor world, you know that our favorite one that they'll do is, oh, that sounds really great. Give me some of your cards and I'll be sure to give you some business. Now we know sometimes when we get that response, we're telling ourselves the story that they're not really that interested or compelled. So now what do I do? Do I use some kind of worn out sales tactic, or what I call a 1G manipulation? I don't think so. I think, first of all, I think what I need to do is be able to look in and find out, well, why is this happening in the first place? I think it's very rare, and in my experience of coaching mortgage professionals, I rarely ever hear somebody say, I got objections in the sales process and I think it was my fault. I think I most often hear is, that person wasn't engaged, or that person doesn't understand what they need. You know, it's always somebody else's fault in the realtor or our mortgage customers if they don't engage with us. And if I'm getting objections during the sales process, I know one thing: there's something wrong with the delivery of my sales message. So first of all, why do people do this? Why do people say, I want to think about it? Or why does a realtor say, well, yeah, you know, I'll give you some business, give me some cards, and I'll get back to you, and then we never hear from them? Well, I think it's some kind of unspoken fear. I think that it's generally something of one of these four things. I don't like the person. I've not been impacted in the sales process. You're not giving me anything that I really truly need. I'm not excited about any of your solutions. None of that stuff is making me wonder to say, I have to have this. Or I have a lack of clarity in what you're actually offering me, or the lack of clarity in what your differentiation is. So I think the secret is not about responding to the message, I want to think about it. I think the secret is preventing it. Jeffrey Gitomer taught that, and it's something that I've really taken to task in my own sales presentations, in that I want to avoid objections. I don't want to learn how to handle objections, because if I don't get any objections in the first place, then my sales process and my sales message is strong. So before I blame the customer, or before I blame my prospect, I think I ought to make sure that I've got these four things covered in my sales presentation. Number one, that I built a really strong bond with the customer. And I think the only way I can do that is leading and starting with a really strong, compelling why statement, in terms of, why am I even here, and why should you be doing business with me? It doesn't matter whether I'm talking to a realtor or a customer. The question has to start from the beginning. Why should they even do business with me? And so when I know my why, I engage the customer and they want to go further. The next thing, which I think is really, really critically important, but one that when I'm in a servant relationship, I think it's a struggle, particularly when we're dealing with our realtors. The challenge is that I am out of alignment with our realtors. I think that when I am a servant relationship, I just go in and say, hey, I want to give you the best service. I'm going to give you the lowest interest rates. Your clients are going to love me. All of those sort of worn out old world sales techniques. But the challenge is that realtors will look at it and say, well, I don't need that. I can get that anywhere. So I'm not impacted, and therefore I'm putting up objections. So how do I impact them? I think I need to get really, really clear on what my prospect's needs are, whether it's a customer or a realtor, and I really need to get clear on being aligned with those interests. So for example, just from a realtor's perspective, I think most realtors would say to you, what I really want out of this is I want more business. And so I can solve that by solving challenges in their business, or by getting them business. So what I do in my business is I am focused on getting to the customer first so that I can hand out leads. And I built a lot of cool lead generation techniques in order to be able to do that. Finally, I also want to excite my prospect, and I think I do that by making sure I have a really good understanding on where I'm taking them. So, what is the vision for our relationship? What are the tools, the ideas, the strategies that I'm going to use and show you that will create the impact in our relationship? Finally, I have to leave the customer with clarity. They need to understand what's the next steps. They need to be really, really firm on what it is that we agree to on the follow-up. So I hope you found that sales tip very helpful, and I hope it serves you. In the meantime, well, also, if you'd like to get more information about some of the sales ideas and some of the strategies that we're selling, I have a free video series at 180degreesacademy.com. Until next time, shift small, live big. Cheers.